Hi everyone, I'm doing a video for the energy of Jupiter and Gemini. This transit is going to be taking place from May 25th, 2024 until June 9th, 2025. I decided to do the video outside because I just feel like Gemini encapsulates the neighborhood, so I'm in a park and I'm sitting down. And I wanted to just discuss what I was observing about this transit that is about to take place. So, Jupiter is a pretty interesting planet because Jupiter is the king of the gods. It is Zeus in mythology, and he rules over a lot of things. He's the planet of optimism, he's the planet of magnetizing things. He's the god of thunder. Jupiter is about faith. It's also about your belief systems, your higher mind, and the things that you learn, and how you put everything together and see the big picture. Jupiter is hope as well. It's generous, and when you look at mythology with Zeus being the king of the gods, he was always forgiving and generous with his family and those around him. Jupiter has downfalls as well. It's prone to excess. It's a philandering planet. It is very, it believes that when it does something, it cannot be judged for it. But when other people do it, they may get judged more harshly than Jupiter. Because Jupiter also saved his siblings from going into basically damnation, because Jupiter saved the planet Neptune, which was Poseidon, his brother. He saved a lot of his siblings from his father's eternal death, because his father was scared of his children getting older and ruling, taking his place in ruling, which was Saturn. So Jupiter is the sibling that helped the others escape. And this is going to have a very big theme in this transit, because Jupiter was also adopted by a asteroid named Amalthea. And I learned about the asteroid Amalthea when I was at the UAC conference in Chicago in 2018 from this astrologer that I don't really remember her name. I'll try to find out her name. But Amalthea was the imp. They say it was a goat that gave Zeus, Jupiter, milk to drink, and they kept Jupiter safe away from his father's judgment and death, eternal death. And Amalthea was a symbol of a step parent or an adoptive parent. So I feel like those themes may play out as Jupiter is going to be transiting in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is the sign that rules siblings, and that's why I wanted to talk about the mythology of what Jupiter is. So there may be a theme of saving siblings, relationships with siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, close relatives. All of that may be a really big theme as Jupiter is going through the sign of Gemini. Because Jupiter is a planet that likes to be in air signs, fire signs as well. It does very well in those signs. But in Gemini, it's like Jupiter has to go home. It's like Zeus is going home. That's how I look at this transit. And it's like Zeus is having to interact with, as Jupiter really is having to interact with other energies and meeting different people that normally those interactions won't happen. But when Jupiter is in Gemini, you can meet anyone and interact with anyone, friends and friends of your friends, cousins, neighbors. All these people are going to be really highlighted while Jupiter is going to be moving through Gemini. So you can notice those themes can be playing out. Another theme of Jupiter is the fact that it expands everything. So let's say you don't have a good relationship with your siblings or your family, it'll expand that. Situations may come about where there may be attention that has to be given there. And if you do have a good relationship with your family, that will expand. Or the relationship with your family may go through a shift or a change where communication and connection has to happen or is happening with this transit. Because Jupiter is going to be in a Mercury ruling sign, which is Gemini, I find that Geminian things, Gemini, Mercury themes will be highlighted. And one of the themes that I'm noticing is if you're born with a Mercury retrograde during this Jupiter in Gemini transit, this is going to be very prominent for you because as Jupiter is going to be moving through Gemini, every single Mercury retrograde is going to be a very big download for you. I wrote some notes down about that. I said more prominent energy for natives with Mercury retrograde. There can be some undoing of childhood learning, and it's like you're going to be reprogramming your brain every time Jupiter goes retrograde in the sign of Gemini. I'm going to put those dates that Jupiter will go retrograde in the description below, or I'll try to write it somewhere in this video so you can know when those times will happen. Another thing too is what I'm noticing is there will be some tension that will be happening while Jupiter is going to be transiting through Gemini, and that is going to be with Saturn. So in the beginning of the video, I talked about Jupiter freeing his siblings from his father, which is Saturn's eternal death in his stomach. So Saturn and Jupiter will be in a very hard aspect, which is a square. And squares are very challenging. And it's going to be happening, let me get you guys the dates. So that's going to be happening, opening squares, which is when it's going to really start, is going to be around July 4th of 2024. And the exact square is going to be from August 17th to the 23rd, 2024. And this is going to be very intense because there's going to be Mars, which is also the brother of Jupiter in mythology, is going to be conjunct Jupiter in this square. So there's support, I feel, even though this is going to be some tension around August 17th to the 23rd, there is support by your brother Aries, which is the god of war, and it's conjuncting in Gemini. So it just shows me that this transit is going to need united, siblings are going to need to be united, neighbors are going to be needing to be united, your community is going to need to be united during this time. And I'm noticing too, around August 17th to the 23rd, this may involve something that was taking place mid-April 2024. If you can go back to that time, this is going to be where the tension is coming from, or the activity. Also, the same month of August, Sirius will be going direct, which is the asteroid of food, nurturing, your job, and your work. Sirius is very important because everything is linked again to Jupiter saving his brothers, because Sirius is the mother of mother-in-law of one of Jupiter's Jupiter's brothers' wives. So again, all of this is telling me that there's going to be some moving forward because Sirius also rules your work. So there could be some situations with work happening as well with it going direct. So maybe something that was coming back at you that you were something that you wanted, or something that was supposed to happen but didn't. Maybe this is going to be the time where those things could be moving forward, because Sirius is in Capricorn right now. I'm going to put a link to that video. I made a Sirius in Capricorn video so you can understand what that transit's about. And then as the square kind of eases up, it opens up again around November 24th, 2024 until January 2025, excuse me. So the opening square happens again. It's going to be a back and forth. And then it will open again. Another tension will open again from May to June of 2025. So as you see that this is going to be like a real challenge happening. I look at squares. This is a frequency to me of motivation to be more driven and to succeed at the things that you probably have tried and you failed. If you notice during the dates that I just gave you that things are not moving and working the way you want to, it doesn't mean that it's a no. It means that you have to try another strategy. You have to try another strategy, because with Saturn and Jupiter, it's about the reality, but it's also about having faith and hope and putting effort into the thing that you really want to get done, or you're trying to the goal that you may have at that time, or the situation that you may be in, or the people that you may be dealing with, or the place that you may be, right? So I'm really looking at this because when it's soft aspects, there's no challenge, there's no growth for the soul, and there's no change in your life situation. So when you're looking at these time frames that I'm giving you, look at this as an opportunity to challenge yourself to grow, because Jupiter always aspires to be bigger and better than what it already is. And with Saturn having that conversation of tension with it, I just feel like this is where you get to put your money where your mouth is, where you really get to challenge your capabilities, and you get to put all those skills that you have acquired and learned to some type of practice, and you're able to use it to benefit not just yourself, but people around you. Another thing is, Jupiter in Gemini rules learning things on a technical level. And Jupiter in Sagittarius is more about university, where Jupiter in Gemini is really about learning a technical skill, something that you can learn that's not a long-term studying process where you can just go and do maybe a course, get a certificate, get a degree, something less than 3 years or 2 years or less, I would say, because Jupiter will be meeting with Mars, and Mars is usually a 2-year transit. So something that can probably take you 2 years to even finish can help you, or under 2 years with Jupiter in Gemini. So, yeah, effort is a big word with Jupiter. I want to mention that. Your effort, how much effort you put into something. And Saturn rules the limitations, right? So I can see how the energy of putting in your efforts into something, you may find that you have a limitation there. You may see where is your limitation or what is your limitation, which is actually a superpower, right? Because then you can either work with what you have, the limitations that within the realm that you're in, or you can try to push forward and learn something new, and challenge yourself that just because you know one thing, it doesn't mean that you can't learn another thing. Because Jupiter is the sign of the twins, it also rules duality and two things. So you may find that you may be interested in two things, or learning two things, or doing two things at a time. I also feel like this is going to be an open mic time for people to speak and vocalize how they feel about things, social media, internet, connecting, online, news, broadcasting, education, early education, I would say, before university. All of those things can go through a magnetism, where we're magnifying it, we're looking at it, we're looking at how children learn, we're looking at how our learning system is as well. So maybe a mentor, teacher can also come in, or we can be looking at mentors and teachers, and what is a good teacher and what is a good mentor. If you have Jupiter retrograde, this is going to be a time also of, when Jupiter retrograde is going to be a time of you understanding and integrating what is happening in your world into the world around you. So, is there anything else? I think this is all that I had to say about this. This also may affect transportation, trains, buses, metros, cars, and how we move around. Yeah. Okay. So I think this is all that I had in my notes. Thank you guys for listening, and I will leave my contact information at the bottom. And I'll see you in the next video.